What's up, guys? I am going to tier rank all of the books that I read in 2023 because it's 2024 now. So I'm gonna get started. I'm pretty sure these are in order, and I'm not 100% that I got all of them, but I'm pretty sure I did. So my tiers are: number one is I could scream about this book, where it's just so good. I just want to scream at the top of my lungs, and I will read it 1,000,010 times again. And then the next one was it's pretty good, but it's missing something. This is the kind of books that I really liked them, but they just weren't 5 stars. And then the third one is mid. It just was mid. And then the fourth, I don't remember reading this. Sorry about the lighting. It's like raining kind of, so it's going in and out. So my makeup is looking crazy in this lighting, but then in the other lighting, it's so good. And then I'm just gonna pretend these books don't exist in the last tier. I'm gonna act like I never read them. I'm not ever gonna talk about them again. I started off the year with It Starts With Us, and I think I gave this 5 stars at the beginning of the year, but I was not a big reader then. And now I just think it's mid. I don't think it's amazing. I am gonna see the movie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna see the movie, but I didn't think it was spectacular. When We Believed in Mermaids, I'm gonna say this is mid too, because I just couldn't get behind it, but it also wasn't horrible. Crescendo, I'm gonna act like didn't exist. I'm just gonna say I've never read it, and I just don't ever want to talk about it again because it's the worst part of the Hush Hush series. Help, I could scream about this book. It's excellent, amazing, perfect. See the movie, read the book, do it all. Anything to do with the Help, I will be partaking in. Silence in the Hush Hush series, I thought this was pretty good, but I don't know, just not a 5 star. And the same thing for Finale. It was pretty good, but it just wasn't a 5 star. The Lost Cities, I actually really liked this book, but it was a kid's book. Like, it was for definitely a younger audience, but I just had it on my shelf. I want to let my inner child read that. Red Riding Hood, couldn't tell you if I actually read that. Gap Creek. I've read this book twice, and I think both times I read it in like one day, but I just don't actually really remember it. We're gonna put it in mid. It was okay. Then Fish, I mean, it was good. It was like a pirate book. It was for kids, and I actually, you know what, I'm gonna put it in mid because it wasn't bad. It just was for kids, so I just thought it's alright. Da Vinci Code, I hate this. Sorry to say it, I hate it. I just thought it was like so much information. There was so much going on, and I don't know, maybe the movie's better. I haven't watched the movie and I want to, but it was just too much for me. Like, I didn't understand and remember all of the facts, so it was just too much. The Amethyst Heart. I could scream about this book. It was incredible, and I didn't expect it to be. Like, I really thought this book was just gonna be like I'm just gonna have to get it over with. I'm gonna have to read through it. You know, that's what I thought. And then after I finished it, I was like, wow, that was a movie that was heartbreaking. It was amazing. I cried. It was so good. Beautiful Boy. It was mid for me. I feel like it had a lot of facts in it as well. Like, same thing with Da Vinci Code. It was just a lot of information and a lot of facts. And I think the story of it was really, tragic, I guess. And this is the other thing, is it's a true story. So I can't say, it wasn't entertaining, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't a book for me. So it wasn't bad, but to me, it wasn't good. And then 10 Trends to Seduce Your Best Friend. I'm gonna pretend it doesn't exist. It was cringe. It was not my favorite book. So I don't remember reading it. I don't remember anything. Emily Ratajkowski, sorry. Really, I mean, if you think about it, you're rating somebody's like life. You're rating somebody's experiences. So I'm just gonna rate it off of the writing, like what I thought. And I thought this was pretty good, but it wasn't, it wasn't my favorite book ever. Birdsong, I think this is one of my favorite books of all time. It was so vivid and so moving and just horrible. That's my dogs outside wrestling. Anyways, it was so moving. It was so good. Okay, The Half of It by Madison Beer. I didn't enjoy it that much. And I think maybe it's because I knew everything that she talked about in that book. I already knew it, so I just, like, it wasn't giving me anything. I was just like, okay, like, I get it. Soldier's Wife, I'm gonna pretend this doesn't exist. This isn't a real book. Just don't ever even pick this up. Don't buy it. Don't do anything. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. From Willow with Love, this is also definitely for a very younger audience. You would get this at the book fair, the Scholastic Book Fair, which is probably where I got it. So I'm just gonna put this, actually it was pretty good. I mean, if you listen, little baby, if you're a young lad, a young lady, you're maybe 12, 13, you want a little romance book, you want a little book about a girl, that's a good one. It's a good little girl book. Okay, Raise Your Voice. I'm gonna pretend this doesn't exist. I don't know why I read it. I loved the movie. The book was just trash. Mitch Albom. I read one of his books a long time ago, and I got obsessed with the way he writes and what he writes about. I thought it was just incredible. I mean, it was pretty good, but I just don't think this particular story was for me. I just don't think I loved it that much. All right. Switched, Torn, and Ascend. These books, when I tell you, if you like fantasy, if you like Cruel Prince, you need to read these books. They are so good. Like, it just has everything. It has enemies to lovers. It has like a breakup trope. It has like politics, and it has just so much in these books, and it's so good. Ursula Under doesn't exist. If there was a category lower than this, I would put it in there, and I would just throw this book away, burn it, and just never think about it again. I hate it. Titanic Young Survivors. This was pretty good. Honestly, it made me cry. It made me cry. And obviously it's not amazing writing. It's not the best book you've ever read. It was a short little book, but the stories in it, I mean, I was crying. I really was. We Hear the Dead. I think about this one way more than I thought I would when I was reading it. And it was actually so interesting because it's a true story. It's just crazy, like the era of time that this was and what she was doing, and like it was just so good. The whole story, I actually really liked this, but obviously, I mean, I don't know, it wasn't like a 5-star. It was probably like 4. Okay, The Expected One, it was mid. I mean, the story was cool. It was cool to like get a whole point of view of somebody that was around when Jesus was around, but like I don't think it was historically accurate at all. You can't say any of that stuff. I just think it was, I guess, blasphemous if you want, and I don't think I should have read it. To See You Again. Oh, this was, I could scream about this just off of how mad it made me and how much I loved it afterwards and how much I actually do think about this. Sorcerer's Stone, I love it. I love it. I love the Harry Potter series. I have only read this book and I already love the series, so we're just gonna say I could scream about it. The Book of Light, I'm gonna pretend this doesn't exist. I think it would be also the same thing, you know, if you're 12 or 13, you know, that like age range. I think that this would be a good book for you, and I think that, you know, maybe if you need a little self-confidence, this would be a good read. But as a 24-year-old, this just wasn't for me. It's the terminology she uses, it wasn't for me. Chicken Soup for the Mother's Soul. It was pretty good. It wasn't amazing. It was pretty good. And I loved it. It made me cry a couple times, and it was just, I liked it. Where the Crawdads Sing, I could scream. It was spectacular, and it is so much better than the movie. It is so much better than the movie. The casting was pretty good in the movie, but I just think this was, It was so good. I think what it is the court scenes in the movie are not nearly as in depth and how wow and gripping the actual book is. Like, they explain things in the book so wild, it's amazing. Like, it is so good. And then the ending, the way it happens in the movie is not like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. 4 seasons in Rome. Did I actually read this? Like, was that a real book? I just think it was such a waste of time. Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I think this was pretty good. I don't know, it just wasn't 5 stars to me. Something about it I don't love, and I don't know what it is, because I love the story. I love Redford. I love Chloe. Like, I love him. I want to read the other 2 books. It wasn't 5 stars. It was definitely like 4.5. It was really good, but it just wasn't spectac. Okay, A Bend in the Road. We're gonna do Nicholas Sparks, baby, because sometimes you just need a little romance. And I don't care what anybody says. I love Nicholas Sparks. He's for me. I love him. And I love what he writes. And this one was mid. I know I just did that whole spiel. It was mid. I don't know, this must have been an early one for him because the writing was not as good as like his later books. Night Journey was, I don't know, mid or pretty good, because it was good. No, it was mid. I don't think it was for me. I think that if you're a younger audience, this is actually a really important book I think people should read, but I just felt like there was a lot more that they could have gone into that they probably didn't because of like being for a younger audience. You can't really talk about a lot of the stuff that happened at that time. But this book exposed me to a samovar. I think that's what it's called. I'll put a picture right here. But I want one now. I want one so bad. I was like, that is like the coolest invention I've ever heard of. So, and it's a big part of this book. So it exposed me and it cultured me a little bit, and I love it. But it just I wouldn't really recommend it, but I wouldn't say it was a bad book. Safe Haven, baby. I have read this book twice. I loved it twice. I love Safe Haven. I love the movie. I love the book. Everything about it is perfect. It's like, whoa, there's everything. There's a little, I don't want to spoil it for y'all, but it's been out for a while. If you haven't read it, I'm going to spoil it right now. It's got a ghost. It's got love, it's got a fire, it's got abuse, it's got cops. It's got everything you could even dream of. A stepmother vibe, a handsome father vibe. It just was so good. And I think the only thing is that the movie, I wish that they would have given him the gray hair that they give him in the book. Like, I just feel like that would have been something cool. And I feel like that was a big character trait in the book, but it didn't really come out in the movie. So History of Love. I think about this book a lot, and it was pretty good, and it was really sad. Lock and Key. This was a movie in my mind. I don't care. I could scream about this book. I'm 24, and I loved it. And I think a little 13-year-old would love this book. Like, it's for everybody. And I think it was incredible. It was immaculate. I thought it was so good. So, People of the Book. I don't remember what this was about. I literally couldn't tell you anything about this book. I don't remember reading it. Sorry. Woman in Me, and I'm just gonna go through these 2 together real quick. Woman in Me and Down the Drain were incredible. Like, if you want a good memoir, these are incredible. I love the way they were written. I think these are wild. Like, I think if you know Britney, you need to read this. If you know Julia Fox, you need to read this, because there's so much that they talk about that is just like, they're just so good. They're written so well. They're just perfect. Honestly, as memoirs go, they're just perfect. And actually, Jeanette McCurdy's was pretty good too, but I don't know, something about it I didn't like, and that's not to say that her life is not interesting or not to my taste. I don't know, something was off for me and I didn't like it. Pretty Boys Are Poisonous is a poetry book, and this was like gothic fairy tale vibes. It was, I thought the whole MGK and Megan thing was like wild. While it was going on, I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy. And he doesn't seem like a stellar dude, you know? And it turns out he is not a stellar dude, and you should not stand. It was so good, the poems. And I actually want to get this physical copy because I read it on audiobook. Cruel Prince, everybody knows. I mean, everybody knows. It was incredible. It was so good. I loved it. Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. I hated this. I don't know what else to say. I didn't like it. I thought it was just not advice for me. Because some people, I mean, this was a huge book. Some people really liked it, and some people really thought his advice was amazing. And I'm so happy, and I wish that I got that out of it. And maybe it was because I listened to it on audiobook, and I think that I'm not going to listen to self-help books on audiobook, which people seem to do a lot, but I just feel like I miss things, and I just like zone out. I didn't love it, so maybe I missed the point. How do I love thee? I actually thought these stories could have been good, but I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist because the writing was like, I could have written this in 4th grade. Alaska Skies. This was kind of like a mom book. Like, you know what I mean? Like a mother would read this. And I am a mother, but like an older mother, like a 40-year-old mom is reading these books and eating them up, no crumbs. But for me, I liked it. I just think, not for me. The Lucky One, this was pretty good, but for me it was missing something. Like the movie to me was actually so much better. And I feel like the characterization of Ben's dad in the book wasn't for me. Like it just seemed like he was such an in the book. In the movie, you can just see the human part of him a little bit more. I feel like in the book, they really wanted you to not like him. Like, Sparks really wanted you to hate this guy, and I did. But in the movie, I was like, I mean, he's, like, just a Southern dad. Like, that's just how they are. Last one. Robin Carr, The Wanderer. I don't remember reading this at all. I don't remember it, and that's all I gotta say. Thank you so much for being here with me. Okay, my son's crying, gotta go. That was perfect timing because I just finished. Okay, bye. This is the full tier rank. I'm sorry about all the issues that there was. I had to record it on my phone, which was just not ideal. So, thank you for watching, and here is the full list. Bye, guys.